Welcome to the Data Playbook podcast. It's a podcast for data leaders to learn how to build data-centric organizations. We do that through a series of interviews with other data leaders, data practitioners, and data experts. I am the host, Kris Peeters, and today I have with me an honored guest, Joris. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you quickly introduce yourself to the audience? Who are you?
As a background, I'm an engineer. So I studied computer science with a focus on AI.
Okay.
And from that point on, I pretty much started doing almost everything in data world. I think I always say I did everything except for data governance so far. And at some point I still want to cross that one off my list. So that goes from data architecture, data science, data engineering, platform engineering, data strategy as well, management consulting, bit of everything. But my main focus area driver is innovation and making sure that we do innovation in a strategically sound way. You do strategy a bit differently when you do innovation.
All right. And so in the past, you worked at many different organizations, but recently you started your own AI studio. Can I call it an AI studio?
An AI product studio, yeah.
An AI product studio called Guatavita. What does it do?
So what we do is we help companies when they want to innovate using AI.
Yeah.
Often these companies are not maybe structured the best way to actually innovate. They have their organizational structure, their governance set up in a way to be successful in their current business. Yeah. And then when you have something new coming up, the governance actually doesn't suit innovation really well. And we want to help those companies build AI products, basically, both from a technical perspective, which is important, but we also bring the strategic element to it as well.
All right, so maybe let's start from the start, right? Because AI is a new hype word, but it's not the first time that companies try to innovate, right? Companies are trying to innovate with data for decades now. Is innovating with AI different to you? Or is it the same, more of the same?
I think that's an excellent question because in essence, to me, it's more of the same.
Okay.
So why did I actually call Guatavita an AI product studio? Because you have the digital product studios that were in the previous wave where everybody wanted to be digital, but a lot of companies didn't really know, okay, how can we do it ourselves? And they went to the digital product studios to help them achieve that. To me, AI is a new technology wave. So different technology, yes, but the methodology you use to create products that are successful is a lot of it has, more to do with strategy, more to do with customer market fit, product market fit, stuff like that than the technology itself. Technology is important, of course, and you need your AI experts. But when innovating, there's also a lot of different things that you need to get right. So I would say a lot more similarities with the previous waves than dissimilarities.
Okay. Can you dive into that methodology that you mentioned a bit? Like how, if I'm a large medium enterprise and I want to start using AI, because that's the thing, right? Many companies we talk to, almost all the companies we talk to, AI is on all their radars. Yeah. Like everybody wants to innovate with AI. And they're all also bombarded with solutions and with consultancies and with agencies and with they're all going to help them, right? So what is your approach in this? How do you innovate with AI?
So the first step is, and I agree, a lot of times you get the question, hey, we see this AI thing here now, we want to do something with AI.
Yeah.
And that's almost always a starting point. The challenge then is to figure out, okay, what problem are we going to solve? Because AI is a tool. It's a technology. It's a solution. Like it's a way that you can solve a problem, but it's not a problem that you solve. You want to solve something from users. You want to make something easier for people. You want to maybe invent a whole new market. I don't know, but AI itself is just a tool, right? So the first thing that you want to figure out is, okay, you as a company, what new problems, what new areas could you venture in? And then you need to figure out, okay, this problem that I want to solve, is this actually worth solving? Because a lot of the time people say, I'm going to do X or Y, and then I'm going to use AI and it's going to be awesome. But they forget to check whether this X or Y is actually something that people are waiting for. And then once you do that, then another step comes along, which might be that actually AI is not the best way to solve your problem. And all of those things are really challenging because the companies are always saying, yeah, but I want to do AI. So it's a delicate balance between selecting problems that you know because you have the technical experience that they are actually probably better off when you solve them with AI. Yeah. You're not sure, but you try to steer the selection process into those problems. And then also know that, okay, probably AI will be the best way to solve them actually in the future, but you can't, you have to double check every time because you don't want to be the company that has, hey, I have a fridge and it's connected to the internet now. And actually in the end, nobody cares that it's connected to the internet and it's just a fridge, right?
But I think it makes sense what you say in theory, right? You need to know what you want to solve. You need to make sure that the problem is worth solving, and you need to make sure that AI is actually the right approach to solving that problem, right? It makes sense in a logical way, but if I look at my interactions with executives, they typically know on a very high level the mission of their company, right? They know that, like, our company is here to dominate in the space of blah blah blah, and let's maybe make it very concrete, but a fake example, right? To be clear, but so I own a logistics company, or I'm the head of product of a logistics company. So I know the problem to solve is to get goods from A to B as fast as possible with an excellent experience for our customers, so they can track the goods and stuff, and you can. But it's very hard to. I know the mission of the company. I fully understand that. And I also know the engineering capabilities I have because we've built a platform on AWS and we have data science algorithms. So those two layers, in my experience, are always very clear. I know exactly where we're going with the company and I know exactly like the kind of capabilities we have today. But how do you like bring innovation into that picture? Like take that fake logistics company. How can they innovate with AI? How walk me through this, a concrete example.
Yeah, for example, okay, you have your fake logistics company. They say, okay, AI will open up all kinds of new opportunities, right? Yeah. And so they say, let's say logistics, then I immediately think planning, right? So probably they have maybe had some consulting and they have had an area and they say, okay, we want to do something with AI in planning. Yeah. Go. Planning algorithm. So the focus often from the start is, okay, you need to develop this planning algorithm. But let's say you spend months developing this algorithm. How are you going to bring the results to the people? Like, who is going to consume the results of your algorithm, right? That's an important question to answer. How are you going to bring the results? Because maybe the planning algorithm now, instead of giving the whole planning at the beginning of the day, it continuously adapts. And you have all kinds of stuff that come in. Okay, how are you going to send these results to people, to the people in the field? Are they going to accept this? Yes or no? Right? All these questions are really important to answer.
But can I interrupt you there? I agree, but you don't know the answer.
No, exactly. And my point here is that you can verify all of those without actually building your algorithm.
Okay, that's
because if you imagine, okay, if building the algorithm only takes a couple of weeks and it's okay, that's fine, right?
But
it's
usually
not too much.
It's a lot more to
usually
industrialize.
Like it's now we have to unlock all these data streams and we have to build out a platform and we have to do and you're spending a year and then maybe it takes a bit longer. Okay, imagine you spent 2 years develop, and I've done it. So I know it.
Check.
You spend 2 years and you've got this amazing algorithm and you've unlocked all of your data sources. Okay, great. You spend a lot of resources and then you figure out that actually the people, they don't trust it.
That happened to me. That people refuse to believe the algorithm and then they do it manually anyway. Yeah.
And checking that is something you can actually do often a lot quicker and cheaper than first building out your algorithm completely. You can say, okay, maybe changing a planning on the fly. It's something I can test, right? I can do it manually. I can do a mock-up. I can have one person just, okay, let's do a test with 10 people. Let's change their schedules on the fly. Let's see how they react to it. Do they completely go berserk, or okay? And how do we get the results to these people and so on? And if you get that right, then you have a basis where you can start improving your algorithm. Yeah. But I've done it as well. I've built algorithms that were really good, but in the end, the results were not. We were not able to get the results to. We got the algorithm to production, but not the results. So,
because nobody took action based on the insights that you delivered.
Yeah, there were other forces at play. Then we just have a better planning.
Yeah.
And these other forces are human forces and are really important and are often even more complicated than the technical ones.
So you say, well, adoption is important. You need to, well, not make sure, but at least have a feeling that people will adopt the solution that you built. Another part that you mentioned was there needs to be business value. But there, let's be honest, it's so flaky. There's so much. I've seen so many business cases on PowerPoint slides which turned out to be complete bullshit, right? So, for instance, if we take this example, we're going to do dynamic planning that changes in real time. How do you measure the business value of such an idea?
For a logistics company, can we do more? Can we do more business? Can we deliver more? Can we do it has to be like really tangible value, right?
Yeah.
And then if you manage to, because like these algorithms, it should be directly impacting the business of the company that you do them for. If you can't really measure what you're building, or like if it could be a product as well that you sell, but often they say, okay, yeah, we do data or we do AI. And we can't really measure its value because it's part of the entire ecosystem.
We give a better customer experience.
Yeah, okay, and that's a tricky one, right? Better customer experience, but then you could do A/B testing. You could say, okay, if we have customers where we use different algorithms for product selection or whatever, do they buy less or more? You could try to measure these things. And I think it's really crazy. So we live in data land and we say everybody should be data driven, but often we are not really data driven ourselves because we don't try to measure our impact. And it's super hard, but it's something we should think about more. Like, okay, if I ask for, I don't know, a bag of money to do X, how can I prove? How can I show that there is value in it? Because otherwise your project 2 or 3 years later down the line, when there's a new buzzword in town, your project will get killed. And it will be half finished. It will be difficult to operate and it will get shut down eventually.
Okay. And then, so when you're discovering this business value part, you're discovering the adoption part. I think the impatient engineer in me goes like, yeah, we're doing a bunch of blah, blah. And now the project is delayed by 6 months before we can get started with building, right? Do you advocate like, yeah, that's normal. You have to wait with building something and first prove that there is value and that people will adopt it? Or do you want to do things in parallel? How do you typically approach this?
There, your architecture really needs to be good. I think that you can easily swap out because you can already start building the scaffolding of your product, right? And you can say, okay, but my algorithm. So what is an AI algorithm? It's inputs and outputs, right? These inputs and outputs, these outputs, they need to go somewhere. The inputs need to come from somewhere. You can already start building that because if you want to really test out your product, then it needs to be like the look and feel as if you're using the actual product. Yeah. So this whole scaffolding you can already build. You need to make sure that your architecture is done well so that you can easily swap out algorithms, which is important down the line anyway, because you will want to go and improve them continuously. And then you can start off by building a very simple model, basically, that is like, okay, it's not very sophisticated, but it will do fine just to test. Or I build in a way that people can manually pick, like I mock basically the results of the algorithm or whatever. So for engineers that say, I want to focus on the algorithm alone, that's the only thing I want to do. These guys will be or girls. They will be very impatient, and they will get a bit disheartened by, okay, I'm not building the models that I wanted. But the people that want to bring value from data to end customers, they will be happy because they're doing all this other stuff that's also important to get the value of the data to people, and they know, okay, in the end, I would do all of this work anyway. I just do it a bit reversed, right? And to me, the people that I want to work with are those that say, okay, I'm not married to the technology part alone or the very complicated, cool stuff alone, but I want to make sure that whatever I build brings value. And even if it's simple and straightforward and whatever.
Maybe it brings me a bit to the team setup of innovation, right? So if you want to innovate with AI and you can set up your perfect ideal team, what kind of profiles would you need in that team?
So you want, it depends in which area you are innovating, of course. But let's say data and AI, I want people that know about data and AI. So I want almost all of them, at least a basic understanding. And then in certain areas, they can go deeper. But what's even more important, people that are willing to learn, that want to test. So that say, okay, I'm not an expert in this area, but I'll just wing it. I'll go and try to learn, and that are that have this engineering experience, basically. I know, you know that when you've built something, it's crappy or not, right? Even if you're not an expert, okay, I need to somehow find a way to improve this area or that area. And then you can basically go on the internet. There is so much information out there and you can learn. It's also why I did so many different things in my career. I just always went like, we need infrastructure. Yeah. Let's figure out how to do that. And am I the expert, like the top level expert in this? No, but am I good enough to get the company the product from inception to somewhere where we prove the value? Yes, absolutely. And then it's a lot easier to get the experts. So I want that definitely in people. So basically they need to be flexible. They need to be eager to learn. But the most important thing is customer centricity and realizing that even if I do things quick and dirty, that's fine if that means that we are getting successful. So people that are purely in it for the technology are very dangerous when innovating because they always want to use the newest thing. Yeah. They want to do things right from the start, which means that if you always want to use the newest thing, that you're not looking into like the proven easy technologies that are a lot easier to maintain and everything that might also solve the problem. If you want to do things right from the start, which is in some cases very good, when you're doing innovation, chances are you'll need to throw away everything because the strategy gets completely turned around. And then if you have people that are, but I built this and it's so great and they don't want to throw it away, right? So it takes longer and people will be less inclined to actually switch over. While if you're like, okay, I quickly built this, it's quick and dirty, but fine, we can do the test. Now we notice that it works. Great, now I'll improve it. And you also, so quick and dirty needs to be an active mindset. Yeah. Not something that I don't know any other way because that's also dangerous. Then you just build crap on crap. But you need to be able to play with this technical debt. Say, okay, now I introduce technical debt because I know it's a good time to do so.
And those are the traits you're looking for in the data and AI people. So they have to be very customer oriented, focused on solving the problem, not focused on the technology or doing things right in the innovation track, right? do you also are looking for similar traits in, let's say, more the subject matter experts or the business people that are typically involved in such a project? Or what do you care about? Do you have a preference for the kind of business people you work with?
To me, and there I am more of a engineers can do it all if they want to. I don't think you need pure business people when you do innovation. You need subject matter experts, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But these can also be technical people.
Okay.
Like imagine, okay, you're building something new and you have a team of 3 people.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are technical and 1 of them is pure business.
Yeah.
This one person, so if you quickly test and try things out, you're building a lot of things. And if one of your team, one of your 3 people can't build, that's really, really difficult.
Slows you down. But you need take the logistics example. You need someone who understands planning really, really well, right? It's not you or me or...
And that person is not part of your team, but you go and talk to them.
Okay, you do not put those people in your team.
No, but I would make sure that they are very accessible to the team. So but as a team, the innovation team builds stuff, continuously try things out. That's also the thing. If you can very quickly build something, bring it to this expert and say, "Hey, we've built X. Mm-hmm. Do you think this is nice?" Person uses it, whatever, says no, utter crap. Okay. Fine, you go back and then you can do this on a weekly basis maybe, but also if you suddenly because of this feedback you notice but now we are moving to a different area, you might then go to a different subject matter expert, because you know that because subject matter experts are also subject matter expert. They're not expert on everything that a company does.
On the subject matter.
Yeah, exactly. So if these people are also kind of a bit one-trick ponies, right? So you need to make sure that you can, if you switch over to a different ID, then you can go and talk to different people. So if they're part of the team, then, they need to be. You need to be in the organization, right? You need to be able to go and talk to people. You need to go and be able to go and pitch. But to me, most often they are customers more than or like potential customers.
Yeah.
More than actual people building the product.
But then, so I understand you see an innovation team as some kind of team lead and a bunch of data and AI people who can quickly iterate, focus on the user, need to have access to a subject matter expert, but they're not in the team. You also do need I'll ask you this question. Do you also need some kind of sponsor or someone from the business says like, here's a bag of money to solve this problem for me?
Yeah, definitely. So you need budget and a vision. I think vision, super important.
What is vision to you?
To me, vision is, this is where we want to go. It's your destination. And it can be very far. So the sponsor determines a vision and says, we want to achieve X. The innovation team itself determines the strategy, which is how do we get there? Okay. And every time that strategy changes, like in a major way, then of course you need to go and talk to your sponsor. You need to be able to explain, now we're doing things differently because of XYZ.
But that's part of the journey for you.
Changing strategy. Continuously. Yeah.
Because if I zoom out a bit, typical strategies, they are made once a year, maybe twice. No, not even twice a year, once every 2 years. And then they are rolled out, right? The changing strategy takes a while typically, but you say, no, we be quick in changing strategy.
Yeah. So my view on this is your horizon for your strategy really depends on the uncertainty in the area that we are working. So again, vision is I want to go there. So, and let's take it very tangible. So you're driving. You want to go to a destination. And if you're driving and there is no traffic, you can plan ahead. You can even plan a very long journey of multiple days. It might take some time. You try to find the optimal resting places. You book hotels up front, which they ask you for an upfront fee. You pay it. Everything's fine. It costs a lot of money to plan that trip, but you can do it up front. You can completely execute it. It will be fine. Now imagine the same situation, but with a lot of traffic. So a lot of uncertainty, and it's really hard to predict where will that traffic be. Now you want to be in a situation, if you use the same tactics, so the 3-year plan equivalent, and you plan ahead one trip and you book all of your hotels up front, and you need to execute that journey, chances are that during the journey and you check, okay, what would have been the alternative? Yeah, there is a route that's a lot quicker. Yeah, a lot better, and in innovation that kills you, right? If there is so there you want to be able to plan ahead during the journey. So you want to very quickly be able to say, okay, what's now I'm gonna drive for a day. I'm gonna drive 10 hours now. Okay, this is my destination. Okay, I think the best way to start is through city X, whatever. I'm gonna check. Okay, are there hotels there? Yeah, I'll book one when I get there. All right. So you need a lot of flexibility, and you need to be able to plan very quickly. So there, your strategy is something that it's a lot more important to be able to adapt your strategy quickly, and to think of a new strategy very quickly. And there, so the equivalent, the 3-year plans, often you have the big consulting firms that come in and they help, and they are very expensive with the 3-year plan. So these companies, they pay a lot to the consulting companies, and then they have their 3-year plan, but they will never adapt it. Because can you imagine that a month in, they say, but we noticed our strategy doesn't work. Now we need to have them come in again and have the same process all over again. And so in innovation, you need a different way where your innovation team is actually doing the strategy on the fly, and also constantly validating whether it's still the correct one to go.
It also has another implication, I think. I wonder what your opinion is there, but the deliverable of strategy consultants is in the end a slide deck. You can debate if it's a good or a bad slide deck, but they deliver a slide deck, right? This is your new strategy. What to you is the deliverable of an innovation team?
Twofold, a slide deck.
Okay.
Because at first, but it can be why the slide deck? Because you need to communicate to your sponsor, this is a strategy, right? So you need to communicate some way to your sponsor, okay, this is what we're going to do. But you need to be able to make that slide deck very quickly. So that's one. So your strategy. Second one is, okay, what's the first step on that journey?
Yeah.
An experiment. Typically, your strategy, especially when there's a lot of uncertainty, they will have a lot of assumptions. A lot of assumptions that can be proven wrong very easily because there's a lot of uncertainty. So you have the slide deck and you say, okay, we have an assumption that X will happen. It's if this assumption falls true, then our entire strategy is mute. So we will go and test it. So the second part is, what will we build to test our strategy?
So you to come back to the logistics example, you say a certain hypothesis. We think by having dynamic scheduling, we will get more shipments done, something like that. And then let's validate if that is actually true. Is that a good first experiment, or is that too much already?
One that you could do, but maybe another. To me, the most critical ones are often the ones that involve people, because people are a lot harder than technology. Like technology you can solve often, right? And give any engineering problem, put enough money at it, and you'll solve it most of the time. People are harder. So to me, the first one would be, so now we're going to go to dynamic schedule. That means that all of these people would have different ways to fill their jobs. We are going to check whether they actually accept that. Yes or no.
Okay. That would be the first thing you check.
That would be the first thing that I would check. And we're going to do that by acting as if we have dynamic scheduling. You can fake dynamic scheduling. And then you like a limited rollout with a few early adopters. You think, okay, these are the ones that are most likely to accept it. Because if they hate it, then everybody will hate it, basically. And then you do an experiment and you say, okay, our first assumption was yes or no. Okay. And then you go to the second one. And so you keep checking these assumptions. And to me, people are the ones that you test first. And then you could think, but why do you need technology people for that, right? Because you are testing assumptions, people assumptions. But as you're building stuff, you need to make sure that you can keep on adapting your product very quickly. And if you have non-technical people building the things, things will break down and you know how hard it is to keep on adapting products that are not well designed, that have because to me, technical debt, you can use it very strategically. For example, the algorithms themselves, they can be total crap. But your CI/CD pipeline, that needs to be it needs to be mint. It needs to be really good because that's the one that allows you to actually deploy things really quickly.
And for the less technical people listening, what is a CI/CD pipeline and why does that need to be good?
So basically that means I have written new code.
Yeah.
How quickly can I get it in production?
That's for you is important.
Yeah, that's really important because whenever you have a new insight because you've done an experiment, your developers, they go and they take this insight. Yes, if I change this in terms of the interface or the code or the whatever, this will be a lot better. If it takes a month for you to get that into production, then it takes a month for you to actually test your new assumption, and then it's really difficult. But if this new insight can go to production in a day, that's amazing because then you can have a very small change. You put it in production, you test it again, and you see whether it was actually right or not. And a lot of the times, if I see in organizations where there is a very slow time to production, basically, then they start clubbing very big releases, and then it's really hard to figure out. Okay, something changed. People like it more, but because of what exactly?
So for you, it's okay to ship crappy code as long as you can ship it often.
Yes, and fix it quickly as well.
Yeah.
Because that's again, if you can ship code quickly, and I've worked with engineers that were very uncomfortable with this.
Me too.
And they were, but I know this is not good. I said, yeah, I know, and you can. If I give you 4 more days to work on it, you'll make it perfect. I know, but what if nobody uses it? Right? And if we see a lot of usage, then I'll give you the 4 days. And I promise this. If I see a lot of usage, you'll get your 4 days and even more. And you can, right? And then in the beginning, this is uncomfortable. But the first times they notice, actually, I released something and I knew it was crap, but nothing happened. The universe is still okay. Then they start realizing, but it's actually good because otherwise I would have wasted a lot of time. Nobody's using it anyway.
Yeah, but here I do have to defend the engineers a bit because the amount of times that somebody has told me or our team, like, I know it's crap, we'll refactor later, and then never get to the refactoring part.
Yeah.
Like I have this saying: once something is in production, it's that's it. It's nobody will invest any more in refactoring it. So if you want to go fast, you need to, I agree with you, you need to be comfortable shipping many small, crappy things and iteratively improving it. But you do need to understand, you need to pay back that technical debt.
Yeah, and that's why I want innovation teams where everybody's technical and everybody knows this. It's like, to me, technical debt and financial debt are very similar. In the way, if you want to you start a company and you want to accelerate that, you take on financial debt, right? You want to quickly be able to invest.
Well, we didn't, but I get the point.
Yes, okay.
Most companies do.
Imagine that you let your engineers manage your financial debt. People would be very uncomfortable with the idea. You want your finance people to manage your finance debt.
Absolutely.
But somehow we are completely fine with our business people managing our technical debt, and I don't understand. That's like, to me, taking on technical debt is good, but let your technical people manage your technical debt. And then if they say, yes, we took some shortcuts for you, but now this is getting out of hand, we need to fix it, let them fix it. And that's, it's great. Can you imagine that an engineer says to a finance person, don't pay off your interest?
It's nonsense.
It's fine. Yeah, we don't need to pay off our loans. It's fine. I
actually have an anecdote on this, and it happened 2 days ago. It's very fresh. saw one of our engineers posting something about, I need to maintain pipeline X at client Y. It broke down again. I need to fix it. And I had this reflection, like, wait, pipeline X at client Y? Is that the same crappy pipeline that we inherited from another agency 5 years ago? Yes. And in those 5 years, we never restructured, paid back the technical debt? No. Why not? Because business said it was not a priority. And I almost exploded as a guys, I don't care what business thinks. Like after 5 years, I fully agree that like we need, in the beginning, we need to go fast, show value, so it's get that running as soon as possible. But after 5 years, there's zero excuse anymore. It's been in production for 5 years, so now we need to pay back the technical. We should have paid it a long time ago.
It's even worse because now your engineers don't trust you anymore. When you say, yeah, but let's do it quick and dirty now, I'll let you solve it later. So your engineers don't trust you anymore. So everything that goes out will be perfect.
Yeah, because they don't allow
trust
themselves.
that. So the engineers say, you told me last time that I'll be able to fix it. Yeah, not this time. I'm gonna, this and we make the estimates, right? So we say if this takes 10 days, this and if okay, I could say 1 day and do it quick and dirty, but then it would be quick and dirty. So let's just take 10 days of estimate and. The business
and the whole system slows down because of that.
Because nobody has like the people with the decision power that can't challenge it. Like, hey, but you say 10 days, they don't have the foundation to actually go and challenge it. So,
That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that because it's you need to trust on both sides. You need to trust that from engineers to business people that they prioritize the right things. And from business people towards engineers, they say, okay, you also prioritize the right level of quality that you're expecting, and then you should not misuse that trust somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what I've done, but now talking to you, maybe that's not the right approach, but what I've done in the past is, if we can't get out of this, and they never allow you to fix technical debt, you just put 20% extra on all your estimates. I know it's a classic one, but it's like you need to protect yourself against that, right? Yeah. But that doesn't build trust.
No, and I think in bigger established teams, it's a good approach to do because that allows you to always have some overhead to manage your technical debt. But in innovation teams, it's a lot about speed and like if you, instead of working 5 days a week, work 4 days a week, that might actually have a big effect, especially in the beginning. So in the beginning, if you would like factor in this overhead time and time again, it would be an overhead and it would cost you real resources that you can use for other things.
And how long do you consider a project an innovation project? And is there a handoff point towards now? This is just like any industrialized use case that we built?
It depends on the uncertainty, basically. So if you know, because it can go very quickly, if you know that this will be the trajectory, we've tested everything, then to me it's not an innovation case anymore, but you go into an execution mode and you start building. But certain products, you keep innovating continuously. Yeah? So it really depends on how much certainty do you have on what should the product look like.
But you could be, if you say continuously, you could be in an innovation track for 2 years then.
Yes, definitely.
But then parts of it become more industrialized, standardized, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's when you're innovating, the project that I want to do, or the products, it's a better word, that I want to do is they start delivering value immediately.
Yeah.
But so you can have a huge idea, right? Like, let's huge idea. If you can't figure out what is our starting case, then it's really difficult. Okay, you can do the sales approach and you make like an amazing pitch deck and you say, okay, this is our 2 to 3 year plan. And I've seen a lot of programs then in that case go like that. So you say, okay, I have this huge idea. Let's take 2 to 3 years. This will be our budget. And you start building. But after 2 to 3 years, chances are you won't have delivered the value that you promised in the start, and it will maybe continue, but it's difficult. The way that I like to handle those big ideas is to say, okay, that's our vision. That's a big idea. What is the first step that we need to do to start delivering value very quickly. But how can we have that strategy in a way that we can expand on that, and with that we can still achieve the big vision? So that way you can innovate for 2 to 3 years because you have this vision, this North Star that you want to achieve, or it can even be 10 years. Some ideas are very big, but every step of the way you are building additional value, and you're innovating, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But part of your product, they become stable, of course.
But I want to link this back to an earlier podcast we did with Sven and Elia from Publiek. And so to give a bit of context, I think I mentioned this before, but Publiek is responsible for the uitdatabank. So if you want to know out in Vlaanderen, if you want to do something, you go to that website, you say, okay, give me a list of all events happening this Saturday in the neighborhood of Brussels, type kids, whatever. And it gives you 100 events back, whatever. Huh? They have around 200,000 events per year. Now they're innovating with AI. They're trying to enrich events with AI, like what kind of event is it? Is it actually a kids event? Yes or no? Is it suitable for families? Can you give me some more information about the artist who is performing? So they're enriching with AI. At the same time, they want to give a user a better search experience with AI. So just describe the kind of event you want to do, and then I'll find the event for you. So they're doing a lot of innovation. They're doing it iteratively. I think they're doing it the right way. But then one of the things we discussed, and that's true there, but it's true in a lot of organizations we see, there has to be a moment that, I'm curious for your opinion, this thing needs to be handed over to IT. At some point, it's not an innovation thing anymore, but it needs to be embedded in IT systems. It needs to be industrialized. It needs to be. But if you do an innovation team for 2 years, then what is your take on that? Is there a handover moment?
My question is an innovation team not an IT team?
They're a data and AI team.
Are data and AI people also IT people? You set up AWS environments. To me, it's the same. I'm a huge fan of DevOps. You build it, you run it, but and maybe so. You asked this question before. What kind of traits do you look for in people in your innovation team? If it's only about building new stuff, no, you need to run it. You need to own the product, right? So to me, the innovation team is the IT team, and should care about stability as well. It should care. It's also like technical debt. If your thing crashes all the time, you have a lot of technical debt, because if you need to operate it, you need to continuously keep it live, right? And you're bug fixing, and you don't get to spend new time on development anymore. I think it's nice that your innovation team also faces those issues, and you don't get to hand over, like after 1 year of development, you don't get to hand over your product or your code to an IT team then that needs to go and fix all those things. So to me, the innovation team is the IT team.
But it's interesting because if you go back to the logistics example, planning, that means that you're innovating live in production, so to speak. And if you mess up your planning, you can cost the companies hundreds of thousands of euros easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a risk you have to accept in innovation, that you have to do it live. You have to do.
Yeah, what's the alternative, right? So the alternative is that you start stage gating and you have people signing off on and that's why with Guatavita we say, okay, we want to do it for companies.
Yeah.
And why companies often aren't organized, the way to get stuff in production is really difficult, right? Yes. A lot of the times there is release management, there is testing, there is all these things. And
a lot of things that are not exciting for data and AI people either. Like we all love LLMs, but now we need monitoring and alerting and scaling and, and security.
And I think an innovation team should do all of these things as well. And like imagine instead of you're in a big company, you're a data leader, imagine you're a startup. These people also need to figure out all of these things. And of course, it's important to mitigate your risk as a big company, right? So I would say create an environment or where if this team screws up,
Yeah.
Because they will at some point.
Yeah.
That it's not like bringing the entire company down.
So it's not fail safe, but it's safe to fail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hope that a lot of companies are trying to organize that way anyway. A lot of
that's
times.
not the case in reality.
I know it's not the case. And that's why we have release management and so on, because everything needs to be checked.
And change advisory boards and slow processes.
Exactly. But try to organize yourself in a way that at least they can, and if it's not your entire company, then at least it's innovation team.
Yeah.
And that's why it could be useful, because it's really difficult to organize yourself in such a way that teams can release themselves and so on. But then if you go to a product studio, it could be an AI product studio or a digital product studio or whatever, often they have their own AWS accounts and they deploy, and you define good interfaces with which the insights go into the major company, and you try to mitigate these risks and encapsulate them and make sure that you don't bring the entire company down. But organizing this within the company is often very difficult, because, hey, if this innovation team can do it, why can't this other team do it, right? And there is not a good answer for that. It's often the case, because we are unable to organize ourselves in a way that it's possible. But with innovation, it's really important.
I think what you mentioned earlier, the CI/CD pipeline or DevOps principles in general, I think is a good common ground. It doesn't solve everything, but you need to have that in place to go fast, to iterate fast, to go to production fast. Whether that's in an innovation team that tries 10 different experiments and changes, or whether that's just a normal data team that builds the next integration with the next system. And there, I think many companies don't truly appreciate the value of releasing fast to production.
Yeah.
I know of a company that they had change advisory boards, and every release took 7 days just to announce we're going to release, and then nothing happened for 7 days. No, it's true. Literally nothing happened. It's just announced, and then 7 days later you can release. And I'm not sure they ever understood how much pain and suffering that causes. Because exactly as you say, if we can only release every 7 days, we're going to batch. We're going to batch as much as possible. And we're going to announce already that we're going to release something in 7 days that is completely not ready yet, but it's going to be ready in 7 days. And then you release a bunch of shit to production. And then company gets nervous. We have to improve quality. So we're going to have 14 day. So it's the reverse of what we're going to, right? And I think at least that's common ground that innovation teams and normal teams should have, is they should have a fast DevOps way of working.
Yeah. But and to continue on your point, like the 7 days, because they're unable to release quickly, but then something happens in production, right? Bug in production. And now you need to fix it quickly. What happens? The engineer goes and fixes it.
You can bypass all the processes.
But then they fix it in production. Yeah. Problem is, your fix is not on your dev branches anymore, and you're not testing all your new releases against this this fix. So it's even a reduction of quality.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. So and I've worked in innovation teams, and we have a lot of bugs, right? But every bug was fixed first on dev, then on all the other environments, and you can choose how many you need, of course. But first in the dev environment, and then went to production, and that meant that all future development automatically had this fix.
Because you had a fast pipeline from dev to prod.
Yeah, and it was we know engineers, they care, right? So they were if you tell an engineer first fix it in dev, and it will take only 2 hours then to push it to prod, they will fix it in production because they care so much about the end product. If you have the good engineers, they care so much about the end product. They will say, wait, 2 hours for people to actually face these issues? No way. So it really needs to be like, for us, it was minutes. It was like a delay of a couple of minutes, and that was acceptable, and everybody knew, okay, let's first do it there. Then testing was not great. We could do better there, But then you can say, okay, if you have an automated test suite that only takes a few minutes to run, then we do our testing, so on. You do things well, which actually our customers at first, they were a lot of people were afraid that but we will introduce a lot of buggy code, our customers won't be happy.
Yeah.
But what did we do well? We had a good process for reporting the bugs, and we were very good at fixing them quickly. And we went from a possible risk, like, okay, you will have a lot of bugs and customers will be unhappy, to a very good user experience. Customers saying, what, I reported this bug and it actually got fixed.
Yeah.
They're like mind blown. I reported the bug and it got fixed, and wow, it got fixed quickly. This is a great user experience. And we forget about how many times in big companies things get reported or things don't get reported anymore because everybody just assumes nobody's going to listen anyway.
Yeah, it's hopeless.
Yeah.
Your mean time to recovery is an important one. It's okay to have outages if you can recover quickly.
Yeah, and communicate about them well.
Okay. A completely different angle. You mentioned the word AI Studio and Digital Product Studio, or AI Product Digital. Do you see, in my experience, but then you can, the typical digital product studios or companies like In the Pocket to build like mobile apps and stuff like that, do you consider yourself to be a competitor to them, or is it, how do you look at those companies?
I think it's more of a perception thing.
Okay.
To me, yes, competitor. To me, the difference is not that big actually between digital products and AI products. But to the general perception, I think a lot of people say, okay, yeah, but this is digital and this is AI. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So they don't expect digital product studios actually to use a lot of AI in their products. Well, they probably do. So it's more of a naming thing.
It's also a mindset. I'm not sure if you gave me that example or someone else, but at some point we were talking to a customer and they were building a mobile app. And one of the things in the mobile app, they ran big stores. And one of the things in the mobile app is like, what people want is to know where the toilet is. So we can build a feature in the mobile app. Where's the toilet in my store? But then I'm not sure if it was you or someone else who told me, but if they want to know where the toilet is, then they don't want to install a mobile app for that. They just want to like a chat-like interview. Where's the toilet, right? Yeah. They inherently want an AI guided solution. They don't want a digital app, right? I don't know how you look at. There's this whole hype of with the rise of AI, there will be less SaaS, there will be less digital products, less mobile apps. I don't know if you view that the same way.
The way I look at it, digital products, they provide a digital interface to a whole kind of backend behind, right? And what that backend is can be completely different. To me, the strength of digital product studios is giving this nice interface. Yeah. And often the way the backends behind are fairly simple.
It's a CRUD system.
Yeah. And now with AI products, so how are they different, digital product studios and AI product studios? On top of the know how to build this great interface, you also need data people to build your backend, right? That to me, and then I think if it's purely okay, let's take a prompt and send it to an LLM, get the result back. Use SageMaker or whatever service, the digital product studios will be able to do that probably because it's just standard cloud services they can use, and it's a different interface, but they will learn. But it gets really interesting when there are like entire data pipelines in the backend, when you need to train your own models, stuff like that. Then it gets really interesting.
Or multiple AI agents where you say, I want you to check this there and then talk to this other system here, and then the results should go to like the whole multi-agent thing.
That is actually, to me, the new leap in the products, that the backend gets a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And the front end should hopefully remain the same. And I really hope, because now it's AI this and AI this, but that we arrive in a place where the users, they don't realize anymore that they're using AI.
Okay.
Because now we always say, it's product X with AI or product Y with AI. It used to be like, now it's product X with the internet, or like, but it's just so normal that things are digital and connected and so on, that we expect this from our products, and it's just a way to build new products. I hope that with AI it will be the same, that we figure out new, like Uber, for example. It's a cab service that uses a lot of new tools in the back, but as a user, you don't really realize that you are using all of these new fancy things. You have a great service, and the focus is on the service, not on how they solve it. And I hope that we evolve to a new set of products, and where AI is being used in the back to somehow magically make this product work, basically. But that the focus is not on the AI part, but it's just, look at it, like Netflix as well. It's like they found a way to magically make taking out movies a lot more easy, right? Like where I am old enough that I know that videotheque was a thing, and I went to rent movies, and they made it a lot easier, right? But I like these innovations.
Okay.
Where it's really technology enabling a lot, but technology is not the focus point. Yeah. It's the cool new business case that's the focus point.
All right.
I
think with those wise words, I'd like to wrap up. Before we go, one last question that I always ask people joining the podcast. What is for you the biggest lesson that you learned in data or AI?
To me, that it's only a tool. I came fresh out of college thinking, let's change everything with data, building algorithms and so on. And then basically I realized that, okay, if there are different ways to solve things than through data, and if you don't realize what problems you're solving, then it's actually not worth that much. So data and AI are amazing. I love it, but it's only worth as much as the problems, the value you bring to people, and not business value, but really like the people value that you bring with it. And then if we can make ourselves invisible, all for the better, because nobody likes to listen to all these technical explanations of how our models work. They just want to see them work, basically.
All right. With that, Joris, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I wish you all the best with Guatavita.
Thank you.